Well, you read the title of this video. You know what's going on. You know what the plan is. You know what this is about. It's time to do another tier list video. And this time, as you read from the title, it's Sonic villains. Ooh, Sonic villains. Ooh. There are a few characters in here that you wouldn't say are villains, but we'll get to those down in the line in the video. And yeah, let's just start. So, we have Infinite at the very start. I quite like Infinite, to be honest. I think he's a great character. So, I think I'm going to put him in A tier. In terms of villains, A tier. But in terms of how much I like him, I would put him in S tier. And you would know that if you watched the Sonic characters tier list video that I made. I think he's a really underrated villain. Infinite. He was quite interesting with the Shadow Ruby. If you gave him the chance with it, if you would give him the chance with it, benefit of the doubt, and if he returned in an actual better game where he was a better villain, then I think he would belong up in S tier. Now, I don't think we really have to discuss this much, but I will discuss it a wee bit. Shadow in Sonic Adventure 2 was, I would say, the best villain we've ever had, besides Eggman, in a Sonic game. His rivalry with Sonic, everything that he does to Sonic within that game, it's just like, it's perfect. Because they both look really similar, right? They're both hedgehogs, they're both really fast. They both can have a super form. It's like he was perfect for Sonic Adventure 2. Then after Sonic Adventure 2, he served his purpose in being a villain. He did his part, and then he became an anti-hero. And then he became a full-on hero by the time Sonic Heroes came around, and it's the hints in the title. So I don't think there's much more to say about Shadow. He also there's also a lot of bias here because he's my favorite Sonic character. But let's move on to the next one, Zaz. Flip. I don't think this guy really deserves to be in C or B, to be honest. He's going in D. I'm just going to fire him in there. I don't think he's a good villain. He wasn't really the whole purpose behind Deadly Six. He wasn't really he doesn't really stand out with the Deadly Six. But our next character does, and that's Zavik. He was used in Sonic Forces as one of the villains that Sonic had to defeat in that game of Sonic. I think he would have worked quite well if he was on his own. And I would definitely say he's better than fucking Zaz. He's definitely better than Zaz. I don't like this guy either. Like, the Deadly Six, they just don't really matter that much. I think they all just belong in D tier together. They weren't really good besides Zavik. He was actually integral to the story, and he's also integral to the Sonic Forces story. So I don't really think that anyone else besides Havoc deserves to be in D tier. Captain Whiskers. From what I have been told about Captain Whiskers, he's solid as a villain. Same as Johnny. Stupid name, right? But I don't know if I like them more than Zavik. I haven't played Sonic Rush personally, but my friend Silas OS has. And to give me a wee rundown on those two characters, and yeah, it just They belong in C tier. He said they were solid. They could have been better, but you know, I don't think they're better than Zavik. He actually does something for the story. Fleetway Supersonic. Yes, I've put him in here because one, he's popular within the Sonic fandom. Two, I think he's really fucking sick. So, with that being said, I'm going to put him in B tier. I think he could be really good if he's used in a proper game as Sonic's evil side, like how he is in the comics. But I think he could be really well adapted into a game or into a movie if done right. If it's done right, Fleetway Supersonic could be a fantastic villain. You know, a game about Shadow where Sonic was evil and it's Fleetway Supersonic, I think that would be amazing. So, with that being said, I'll put him in B tier. I don't think he's better than Infinite or Shadow, but I definitely think he's better than all of these characters here. So, Tails Doll. Honestly, he's not really a villain per se, but he is more of a creepypasta than he is a Sonic character. But he actually does make an appearance in an official Sonic game, which is Sonic R. And honestly, from the creepypastas, I think he actually deserves to be up in B tier. Like the top of B tier. Yeah, I think he's good in his own way. Tails Doll. Like, he was a good creepypasta. He was good for Sonic EXE's creepypasta. And that's why I think he deserves to be in B tier. He's definitely better than everyone here. Even though he doesn't really have a story in the Sonic games, it's still nice to know that there is an evil version of Tails out there, along with Sonic. Sonic has a lot of other characters like him. Anyway, Dark Gaia. I think Dark Gaia is an A tier character, A tier villain. Unleashed was a fantastic game for that era of Sonic games. Around then, you know, we weren't really getting great Sonic games besides Secret Rings, Black Knight, Unleashed, and Generations. And out of all those villains in there, I think Dark Gaia really stands out compared to everyone else. And honestly, him being in the Earth and the Chaos Emeralds being drained out of all of their energy, Sonic the Werehog, and Chip, like Gaia, I think it really did make for a great story and a great game. And I think he deserves to be an A tier just because he's like very integral to Sonic lore, if you think about it, within the timeline. You know, it like really sets up Sonic being a hero and stuff on Earth instead of on Mobius, which is where this game takes place. It's on Earth, not Mobius. And for that reason alone, I think he deserves to be up in A tier. Eggman Nega. I don't know much about this character as well. I know he's from Sonic Rush. Again, I haven't played Sonic Rush. Haven't had a DS in God knows how long. But I will put him in C tier, above Zavik and Captain Whiskers and Johnny. I don't know much about him again. And as I said, my friend Silas helped me out with this character. Because I don't know him. And I don't really want to know the Sonic Rush games. Just, they don't really interest me that much. Sonic Boom Shadow. We all know I'm biased. So, we all know I'm biased. So he's going into S tier. Listen, I think Shadow's a great villain whenever he's used, period. I think he's a great rival for Sonic. And that's why I think he deserves to be up in S tier. Shadow being a villain in any media is going to be amazing. Because it's Shadow. It's Shadow. He is Sonic's rival, first and foremost. And he's one of the most popular Sonic characters out there. Under Sonic. Probably above Eggman, but not over Sonic. Which is why I believe that whenever he's used, he's going to get so much popularity. even though he's not really enough to carry the franchise, he's still a great character icon on his own. And when he's used as a villain, I think it's perfect. No matter what you do with him, it's going to be solid, it's going to be interesting, and people are going to like it. So, Eggman, I don't think there's much to talk about here. He's one of Sonic's best villains of all time, if not the best, depending on what your opinion is. But he definitely deserves to be up in S tier. I don't really think you need to talk about why he should be in S tier. I think you just put him in S tier because he is that good of a character. Mephiles, we all know I'm also really biased towards this character. I like how Shadow has some of his own villains. You know, Mephiles, Black Doom, the Bio-Lizard. I think it's nice that he has villains of his own outside of the Sonic villains. Because, you know, Shadow is, as I've already said in this video, he's a great Sonic character and he's an icon within the community and the public. He is a character that will get people to buy a game or in seats to a movie. Pardon me. Like Sonic 3 or Sonic X Shadow Generations. He is that popular of a character where if he's used, then he's going to get people to buy it. Which is why I think this guy's also good, because he looks exactly like Shadow in his base form. Not when he's like this, but in his base form, he's going to be amazing. And honestly, Shadow, that always, it's always a tongue twister, that one. I think he's a great villain from Sonic 06, and I'm genuinely excited, really excited that he's used in Sonic X Shadow Generations. And I don't really have much to say about Mephiles, besides that I think he was a good villain in Sonic 06. He was a great enemy for Shadow, personally, and I would say that out of all the villains, he would be Shadow's arch enemy, because Sonic's not really his enemy, he's just a rival. So, yeah. Emerald. Again, there's not much to say about this character because we haven't really seen him much in media. But from what we have seen from Sonic X and from, you know, Sonic X, he was only really used like once in like an important way whenever they were fighting him in Sonic X. I don't think he really needs to be talked about much. Black Doom, though, he's a Shadow villain. He's probably Shadow's biggest villain. But I don't think he's better than any of these guys here. But I do think he's solid for Shadow. I think he's great. He's Shadow's literal father. He biologically helped Gerald Robotnik make him. And I think that alone gets him up above everyone else here, because he actually has some sort of a background and he actually is important to a story. The Bio-Lizard. Again, the Bio-Lizard isn't really necessary. However, he is the big villain, the big bad in Sonic Adventure 2, you would say. The Bio-Lizard, I'm going to also put him in B tier. I think there's a lot of B tier villains out here. Because, like, the Bio-Lizard is, like, the GOAT, right? Actually, I'm going to put him up top B tier. He's the GOAT. You know, he was the first Project Shadow. He's the original Shadow. It's the original version of him, but not perfected. And I think for what he does in Sonic Adventure 2, I think it's necessary that he's part of a story involving Shadow's origin, because he was created along with Shadow. And yeah, I think he's solid. I think he's a solid villain. He's not really a villain on his own account, but he is a villain. Metal Sonic, I also think belongs up in S tier. He's another one of those villains who is fantastic. He's fantastic in the games that he's mainly portrayed in, like Sonic CD, Sonic Heroes, like Sonic Media in general. I think he's great, and I would really like to see him in the movie Anyway, I think he's a good character. I don't think you really need to say much about him. He's just a great villain for Sonic. Metal Overlord. I think he could have been better, but I don't think he's better than any of these characters here. He was fine in Sonic Heroes, Big Bad, Metal Overlord. Team Sonic has to fight him in the end. They all go super. Yeah, it's not really a lot to talk about there. Next on our list is the hard heavies, the hard boiled heavies, or however you want to call, whatever you want to call them. They're good in Sonic Mania. But I haven't played Sonic Mania personally. But I'm gonna put them in C tier. Again, this is where my friend Silas comes in, and he helps me understand some of these characters because I don't know some of them, right? I only know the most important villains to Sonic and the Sonic timeline, and that would be Shadow, Eggman, Mephiles, Metal Sonic, etc. So I don't really think he's that necessary. King Arthur, though. I'm gonna put King Arthur in B tier above Black Doom. I think Sonic and the Black Knight is a very underrated game, and I think he was actually really good in that game. This character, though, Merlin, I can't say her name right. However, she's also in Sonic and the Black Knight, I'm pretty sure. And she was the main villain from that. And the twist in that was pretty epic, you know. Some might say epic. Yeah, I think she's another B tier character along with King Arthur. I think they would just be in the same spot on their own. So just merge those two into the same character and put them together in B tier. Oh, not this guy. Alright, Sonic Boom Eggman, not really integral to really anything. I think he's better than like everyone else here in these tiers. I definitely prefer Tails, Dolan, Fleaway Supersonic over Boom Eggman. Solaris, it's an A tier villain for me personally. I like Solaris quite a lot, because I love Sonic 06. I think Sonic 06 could have been the best Sonic game of all time if the gameplay was actually good. Besides the story and the cutscenes, those were brilliant. The gameplay, not so much. But if the gameplay was better, I think Solaris and Mephiles and Iblis could have been probably the best villains of all time. Because since they all go into one, it's a whole thing. Anyway, I think he deserves to be an A tier. He's that good of a character, in my opinion. He's very integral to how Sonic, Shadow, and Silver have to deal with him in the ending of Sonic 06. Sir Lancelot. Again, this is another version of Shadow. And I'm biased, so I'm just going to put him up an S tier. If it helps you at all, just think of them as one whole character. If that helps at all, just think of all these three here just as the same character, but not really. They're different versions of him, of the main Shadow, who's this guy, Sonic Boom Shadow, and then Sir Lancelot Shadow from Sonic and the Black Knight. I think they could be pretty epic. Jet, I'm putting him in B tier. Yes, he was an S tier for my Sonic characters tier list, because I love his design, and I think his rivalry with Sonic was quite good. I'm going to put these guys all together here. Besides Wave. Wave sucks. Yeah, Wave sucks. Storm, though. Sorry. Yeah, Wave, Storm, Jet. Yeah, these two are good. Not this guy, though. This guy's stupid. Gerald Robotnik, the creator of Shadow, along with Black Doom. He's a crazy mother fricker in Sonic lore. I think I'm gonna put him in A tier, just because he's integral to the story of Sonic Adventure 2, and Sonic Adventure 2 and the villains in that game were amazing. And Gerald Robotnik is just like, he's just Eggman, but evil and older. He's just Eggman, but older and evil. and but I don't think he's not that as explained as Eggman is in the games, and I think that's why he doesn't go in the S tier. But he's definitely not C or D or B in my opinion. I do like him. I do like him being Maria's grandfather and Eggman's great grandfather. Sorry, great grandfather. And yeah, I think if he was given the opportunity to be an actual character, he could be really good. Chaos. We're gonna fly through these now. A tier character. He's great from every game that he's used in. Generations, Adventure. He's a great villain, and he actually makes sense as a villain. He is a Chow, but turned into Chaos because of a Chaos Emerald. Scourge isn't really canon. However, I do like the character enough to where I did put him on the tier list. I'm going to put him in B tier. Not above those two, though. Not above these guys here. Not above them. Let's put him here. Along with these three, they aren't really, they don't really get a lot of development from what they're in, besides the comics, because that's where Scourge is from the comics. And I don't really think that he's bad or good in the comics. I think he's just all right. So he's going to go in B tier. Black Oak. This is the character that made Sonic go dark mode in Sonic X. And see, to be honest with you, I quite like this character. Just because of how evil he is and how dark he made Sonic X Season 2. And just how Dark Sonic just destroyed everything. I think he deserves to be up here with some of these characters, but in C tier. Not in B tier. These characters are better. But this guy, I think, could be way better than all of them if he's actually in a game and explored. Sage. Sage is from Frontiers. I think she's another fantastic villain. She's not really a villain for the whole thing. She does become less of a villain by the end of the game. She helps Sonic take down the End, which is this guy right here. The End. He controls all the Titans. I'm going to put them together because they're both basically the main villain of Sonic Frontiers, and Sonic Frontiers as a whole is amazing. So I think he deserves to be up in A tier along with Sage. So, the Time Eater. Now this is the best Sonic villain that we've got between Black Knight to Generations. He was the best villain that we had from those games. And yes, Dark Gaia is up in A tier. You can argue that Dark Gaia is better than the Time Eater, but I do think the Time Eater is better than the Dark Gaia. I like how he's taken Shadow through time in Sonic X Generations. I like how he froze everyone. In Generations, in the original Generations, he made Sonic go back into the old levels, or whatever you want to call them, and he made him go around and free them, so the Eggmans can do their wee plot to beat Sonic or whatever they like doing. Eraser Jin. Sonic and the Secret Rings. I think Eraser Jin could have been better, but I don't think he's that good of a villain. But he's not bad. Again, he's not bad, right? So he's gonna go up in here. This is my opinion, by the way. This is my opinion. So if you disagree or agree, let me know down in the comments. So, Razor Jin, along with King Arthur, and that time period, there were some solid villains, and I think Razor Jin was one of them. He was another Sonic villain that could have been way better if given more time in a game to develop and understand him as a character and why he's doing what he's doing. He could have been way better. Just put him in D tier. We don't need to talk about him. Lyric. Lyric. Um, yes, Sonic Boom was was bad. Um, but I'm gonna put him in C's here. He was terrible, by the way. He was god awful. These two aren't really villains. Again, like Sir Lancelot, they aren't really villains. However, they are on King Arthur's side during the events of Sonic and the Black Knight up until the end of the game. So for that reason alone, they can't be considered villains, but not really villains. I think they are good. They're just another version of Blaze and Knuckles, as you can tell. And I don't really think that they are necessarily bad or good. I think there are a lot of B tier Sonic villains, and I think that's where they're gonna go. They're gonna go in B tier together. But I think Sir Gawain and I forget Blaze's name in the game, but I think they are quite good in this game as villains. Not really villains. Again, they're not really villains. Along with Sir Lancelot, they're not really villains, but they are just other versions of those characters from the actual main Sonic universe, and not from from stories from way back when. Okay, hear me out now. Knuckles from Sonic 3 and Knuckles is a villain. Yes, I think that's agreeable. I think it's understandable that he's on this list, because in that game he is on the side of bad, and he does do a lot of wrongs, right? But I don't think he's bad at all. I think he's actually really good. I think he's fantastic. But I don't think he's better than all these guys here. I think, again, these guys are basically all just the one character, so ignore that. I think he's better than most people give Knuckles credit for from that game, but I wouldn't say he's better than Eggman or anyone else in S tier. Maybe not even better. Yeah, I'm gonna put him in A tier, above the Time Eater, but below Chaos. Chaos is the GOAT in A tier. Iblis, this is Silver's arch enemy. I guess you could say. He's not really like necessary. Oh dear. Back in a second. Okay, so anyway, as I was saying, Iblis is the arch enemy of Silver, and I think he could be really good if he was used in Silver's own game, if Silver got his own game. Just like how Shadow and Knuckles have had their own game, I think he could be really good. But I think he's a C tier villain. Solaris and Mephiles are just the goats. But Iblis, not so much. I'm gonna actually edit this a wee bit. So let's edit this a wee bit. I'm not really happy with this at the moment. So Infinite, I'm gonna put up above these guys. Okay. I'm gonna put you above them. I'm going to put Dark Gaia below you. Gerald is going to stay there. That's perfect, in my opinion. This is perfect here. This is good. This could be different, actually, this entire row. I think I'm going to change this a wee bit to this. BioLizard goes down to here. Fleetway Supersonic goes into here. Tails Doll can stay there. Emerald can stay there. These guys are all fine. That's fine. I think that's it. That's my Sonic villain tier list. If I missed any Sonic villains, please let me know. Because while I was putting this together, I was in a Discord call with Silas OS, and we were struggling getting characters after a good few of them. So yeah. If there's anyone else, or if there's any changes that you would make personally to this tier list, please let me know in the comments section. I would really like to know all of your opinions on your own Sonic villain tier list. Anyway, I will see you in the next video. And yeah, thank you for watching. Goodbye.